I am going to talk about IK, inverse kinematics, and the timeline for inverse kinematics. This type of animation is different from the animations we've done before. We've done the traditional animations, we've done digital tweening. This is inverse kinematics that does the tweening for you. It's called inverse kinematics because it's a process that allows individual articulations of jointed, flexible objects. The moves in between for the tweens are calculated between the poses. That's why it's called inverse kinematics. So first, let me go through the way I've set up the timeline. Look at the names that I have for the timeline. I'm going to show everything that's visible. And you'll see in this timeline that I have a model. If I turn on just the model, let's see. I'm going to turn all these off. The model is a yellow, different color from the parts that I have separately for you to go through and practice animation. The model is there on this bottom layer. So you can see when I scrub through, here is my playhead. And when I grab that with this tool, which is the move tool, selection move tool, and I drag through, let me get myself out of the way here. You'll see the leg moving forward. If you just watch this front leg, and I drag through, it goes all the way back and then all the way front. So it's just one walk cycle. So one step back and then forward. This frame has to be the same as this frame. So it ends up in the same position. So the end of your walk cycle, that frame is going to be the beginning and the end frame. So you'll have a pose at the end, which will be the same as the pose at the beginning. And when we go through your poses, you look to see where, and I'll show you this on the next video, but where it starts to change, which is about 32, 33, where that starts to bend, and we'll start setting up poses there. So we'll do that on the next video. So that's what the model is for. It's just to help you go through and practice setting up a walk cycle. Let's turn that guy off. I'm going to turn the visibility on for just this leg, the foreground leg. And you'll see the way this is named. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 legs. We have front leg foreground, back leg foreground, front leg background, back leg background. The front leg foreground is the one closer to us. Same with the front leg background. So if we turn these, let's turn on this front leg background, which is this one. This is the background leg, the one behind, the one further away from us. The one in the foreground, this leg, is the foreground leg. So I've named it so you know that we have 2 front legs, one in the foreground close to us, one in the background further away from us. And then that is the same with the back leg. So this is the back leg foreground, closer to us, and then the back leg background, the one further away. So this is how, do something so that you have consistent naming, so you know it's really easy to start to confuse when you have 4 legs, or if you do some type of insect and you have 8 legs. So you want to be able to name the legs in a way that you know where they are. Body. This is all one shape. And if you look at this, I'm going to turn the lock off. And if I just select this, you see I've selected some of it, but not all of it. If I double click, I've got the spots, I've got the head. I don't have the mane I'm missing part of the ear. I'm missing his little horns. If I use this, which is the selection tool, and just drag through, that's one way of getting your entire shape. So that's how I usually enter the bones into a shape so that IK, the inverse kinematics, understands that the bones are going to be included in this entire shape. It's going to see this as an armature, the whole shape as part of an armature. And when I've selected this, look at your properties. In the tab that says Object, this is a shape. It understands this whole thing as one shape. So if I go to this foreground leg and select this, it also is one shape. Just be careful when you're doing any of these shape animations, because you think I've got one shape, then it's going to be this stiff leg that you're moving. You can add bones into this leg so that you have an animation and a bend at the knee. So it can be a bone from here to here, then here to here. And I'll show you that in the next movie that I do. Okay. So when you're setting this up, make sure that you lock everything that you're not working on, and just select your entire object that you're going to be working on. If you just double click it, that can screw you up, because even on this, you notice that the hoof is not selected. You want to select the entire object with your selection tool. So this is what I wanted to point out for this movie, just the timeline and how I've set the timeline up, how I've named the objects, all of them separate parts that are going to have different movements. The front leg and let me turn all these on. All these parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, the body, the tail is a separate object, the body head is a separate object. This will move by itself. Each of these 4 legs will move independently and differently, and the tail will move differently. So you have to have each of those different objects as a separate shape on a separate layer, because each of them will develop a different armature. And then remember to look in your properties, and we'll go over more information about the properties as we start to set up our armatures.